Y'all can hear me okay, because technology is undefeated. We good, baby. We are live. Thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream segment of For the People podcast. And we have a great show for you guys today. A lot of foreign policy stuff. Trump has lost his mind, and Alex Jones is once again reminding us who he is and why everybody think he's a Fed. Like I said, I've said time and time again, it is not a coincidence that they let him back out of nowhere. There's a price that he had to pay, and we're seeing we saw it with Israel already. Now we're seeing with this move with Venezuela. So we're going to check that out. Also, BiBi Netanyahu comes out and asks for more censorship. He says that social media is just not censoring enough for his liking, which is absolutely insane for him, of all people, to say. And we'll get into that. And he actually ends up accidentally revealing, because of that conversation, he accidentally revealed something that is even more sinister once you do a little bit more digging. So we're going to talk about that. Lamar Jackson, the quarterback for the Ravens, actually comes under attack for reposting something that Charlie Kirk said. We're going to talk about that. And generally, just we're going to have a conversation about this situation with not just what's going on with Venezuela specifically, but really around the area, because it is not what we're seeing right now with Trump's military aggression regarding Venezuela, Mexico, even Panama to some degree. Like, it's not small potatoes. He's definitely using like these peace talks, that because we know the Ukraine-Russia peace talks weren't really ever going to be peace talks. And then after, think about the big fuss they made about the peace talks that weekend, the summit in Alaska, only for Trump to come out and be like, so I think I'm gonna sit back and just let Russia and Ukraine work everything out. So what was all that big ass show for then? Okay, yeah. So if you in the chat right now, let me know where you are watching from. We're live right now on YouTube and live on X. Let me know where you're watching from and what platform you're watching from. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you share this video. You can support the channel by becoming a premium subscriber, of course. You can also join our Patreon. You can join Patreon at the link in the description below on YouTube. So let's go ahead and get right to it. So if you don't know, Trump has actually been ramping up military presence in Venezuela. You're already familiar with the $50 million bounty that he put on Maduro's head, claiming that he's just this super secret drug trafficker, like he's Pablo Escobar or something. The facts don't actually back that up. I'm talking about in general, not just with Maduro, but like as far as cartels, drug trafficking, etc. Like Venezuela is like at the bottom of the list of countries in Latin America that one would need to worry about. But they're going to use whatever excuse they can to justify trying to overthrow Maduro because it's cool o'clock. It's that time of year again. And every time Trump has been in power, there's been an attempt, successful or unsuccessful, to coup Latin American leaders. Ironically, given that Marco Rubio is the Secretary of Defense, this doesn't come as a surprise either. And he really hasn't been put in a position to do anything in any other part of foreign policy as of late. At least it doesn't appear that way. So I guess he needed something to do. But the situation is actually a little bit more grievous than what we originally thought, because of the response to what Trump is doing. So it isn't just Trump and his ramping up the military presence in Venezuela, but it's the response from Maduro that leads me to believe that this shit could get hot really quick. Now, everybody knows Alex Jones has played a role, right? I feel like he's played a part. Alex Jones is a great actor. He's convinced a lot of people that he's this anti-imperialist, anti-globalist, anti-regime change, right-wing populist. He's never been consistent on this, right? At one point, remember, he was even firmly anti-Israel because he believed that the majority of Israel's leadership played into the plans of the globalists that he's always talking about. Now, when he came back to social media, when he was allowed back on all platforms, I was very clear from the jump. I said, for the same reason I basically, when everybody decided to take them off at the same time, like, I don't know how you decide that one person violated every single one of your terms and services all at once without consulting with anybody. Like, y'all, that's weird. I said at the time it was a test. When they all let him back at the same time, I said it was for a purpose. It was to push narratives. And he's proving me correct. Okay. So before we dive into what's going on with Venezuela, look at this wild, I mean, insane take by Alex Jones. I mean, it's, oh, hold on one second. There we go. It's not only, it's like, what's crazy about it is like, not only to show how duplicitous he is and how he really doesn't stand for anything, but like overall, bro, it is an incoherent ass rant that he goes on because he knows he's full of shit. Basically, is what happened. So let's check it out.
Now, I don't like any of these wars, not Gulf One, not Gulf Two, not Afghanistan, all of it. I've been against all these wars, Ukraine war, all of it. But if you look at U.S. doctrine and wars that we fought before that were right, it's in Latin America. This is our sandbox. And Venezuela is a communist dictatorship with the biggest oil reserves per square foot in the world. Their people are absolute slaves. And I don't like regime change, but they are manipulating our elections. They are.
Bro, he just said that Venezuelans are slaves. Y'all hear this shit? Like, that's what you come out with? A communist dictatorship. They just had elections. And as a matter of fact, just to be clear, once again, Maduro, whenever the opposition party challenged Maduro and said that his victory was not legitimate, Maduro went to court. He said, okay, that's cool. Let's go to court and prove that I stole the elections. And the opposition party didn't want to do it. So there's that. But that is, oh, I was against every war. But most of the wars that we fought in Latin America were just. Which one, Alex? Before we even get to, do you know how we handled that situation in Panama just because we wanted the Panama? We just dropped a fucking bomb in the middle of Panama City. Which war, Alex, was justified in Latin America? Please explain that to your audience. I like how you just say that and like just kind of skip over and gloss over it like it's not a big deal. Like you didn't just make this ridiculous claim. I'm sure if you wanted to justify a war with Iran, for example, like you was trying to do, you would switch it up and be like, I was against all these other wars, but this war with Iran, no, this is different. Every single time is different, Alex. Every single time that you want to justify something that Trump does that you know it's wrong, unquestionably. You're like, oh, but this is different.
Flooding us with fentanyl. And if there were surgical strikes with the biggest oil reserves per square foot in the world, their people are absolute slaves. Our sandbox. And Venezuela is a communist dictatorship with the biggest oil reserves per square foot in the world. Their people are absolute slaves. And I don't like regime change, but they are manipulating our elections. They are flooding us with fentanyl. And if there were surgical strikes to take out the communists, there'd be an uprising and they could have elections and it would be a good thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, what does surgical strikes to take out the communists look like? Do you understand that surgical strikes to take out the communists would effectively mean destroying the majority of Venezuela? There would be no more Venezuela. Because from the top down, the majority, like, there's a reason that they call the conservative right-wing imperialist party effectively the opposition party, because there are less than them than there are the communists. So how are you going to surgically strike the majority of the country? That is what we would normally call a full-scale war. But he was very clear about the motivation for Trump. You heard what he said? The largest oil reserves in the world. That's what it is. You could have stopped there. You could have just stopped there.
So I'm not one to ever push offensive stuff, but they started it, so it's really defense.
Yeah, where they started. Okay.
So I'll say it. I am for removing the Venezuelan dictatorship. But by the extension, the cartels back down and have basically slashed fentanyl production 90+%. I mean, they're killing their own people that do it. That's well known. Have you been in mainstream news? So
yeah, I don't even know what that. Okay, so remember when I said like he is rambling and obfuscating? Like, bro, what is that? What did he just say? He knows he's full of shit, right? Someone has told Alex Jones, if you still want access to the Trump administration, you are going to say this. If you still want access to those contacts that you have, here's what you're going to get on your show and say. And he's trying to work backwards from a conclusion that he was handed, and he's not selling it at all. Like, what are you talking about?
The cartels back down and have basically slashed fentanyl production 90+%. I mean, they're killing their own people that do it. That's well known. Have you been in mainstream news? So it's kind of like Trump. I'm going to come get you in Mexico now because of what you did before. And the CIA was basically allowing all that, running a lot of it under Obama and then under Trump's nose. And then, with Biden, it got worse. So
yeah, okay.
By that extension, I mean, for those that don't know, Trudeau allows the use of it. It's decriminalized, and they turned a blind eye to its production. Most of it comes out of Canada now. That's on record. So I just
now most of it comes out of Canada. Okay. He's like, yeah, man, it was the CIA, right? It is something, Joe Biden and Obama, and then under Trump's nose. And Trudeau actually decriminalized it. And so, yeah, most of it actually comes out of Canada now. So I guess like we should be overthrowing them. Like, what are you talking about? Who is it? Is it Maduro? Is it Mexico? Is it Canada? Is it China? What's going on, bro? Who is it? Whose fault is it? Look, poor Alex, boy. You know when Alex is when Alex actually believes something, he's extremely passionate about it. He bumps his chest. He shows the numbers because, like, when you actually know for a fact that you're telling the truth, at least from your perspective, and your belief, you believe that you're telling the truth. Like, you generally attack an issue differently than what he's doing right now. We know Alex Jones well enough to know that about him. This man is like, bro, I guess I'm gonna try to sell this bullshit because I don't really know, but I'm gonna say some random liberal names and blame the CIA. If I mention them enough, hopefully everybody won't realize I'm full of shit.
Yeah, do we have a right to go blow up the cartels? Yeah. But they rolled over, basically.
Now they rolled
Venezuela is the 800-pound gorilla.
Huh?
And so whether you're for it or not, it's about to happen, in my view.
Yeah.
And that's why you see Maduro trying to kiss ass and, Trump, you're good. Hey, Biden told me to ship all the criminals up there. I got the documents. You got them too. Yeah, we know that.
It's not. Yeah, guys, not gonna lie to you. None of that happened. Maduro didn't kiss Trump's ass. So Trump, they have sent naval carriers out there. They are ramping up the military presence in Venezuela. Do you know what Maduro has done in response to that? He has mobilized some millions of Venezuela's militia. We have a couple 100,000 troops, and I know all of them ain't ready to just go. I'm talking about we can just call up and send. If we send like every single troop, we got a couple hundred to a few 100,000, and that's like removing troops from other parts of the world. How do y'all think they would fare in Venezuela with millions of militia called up? I can tell you how they would fare. They would get their asses handed to them. Once again, I always say, when we haven't outright invaded a nation, there is a reason for that. It is because someone is even though they want to commit regime change in the region, someone is smart enough to have done the math to say, look, bro, we're not going to win this one. We're not going to win. So we bomb them from afar. We could try that, but then there's a risk of allies getting involved and international backlash, et cetera. Or we can regime change. We can propagandize them to death. Hopefully the regime change works. But in the case of Maduro, we all remember what happened. We all remember that fiasco, that embarrassment. Juan Guaido going on YouTube, doing a live stream with his iPhone in full screen portrait mode. He didn't even hold a landscape, y'all. He was out here like this. Black sides everywhere. But that was the ugliest live stream failed coup that I ever seen in my life. That boy was like, hey, everybody, come on. We're about to go coup Maduro. That boy was in a whole suit. That man was in a 3-piece suit trying to coup the government, pretending like he had the military on his side. Bruh. That man had 37 people watching the live stream. And he thought he was about to coup the Venezuelan government. Juan Guaido is lucky he's not in jail. And remember, that all happened under Trump. Remember, one of the primary architects behind that coup attempt was Marco Rubio, the current head of the State Department. Why do y'all think we have to try so many underhanded methods to overthrow Maduro? Because they can't win. And to be completely honest with you guys, I don't think that Trump or the empire in general really considers how much damage that they are doing to their reputation every time they try to flex like this, ultimately to deliver zero results in the end. Because here's what happens, y'all. He pretends. So he sends these crews, these naval cruisers. He sends, reserve troops. He does that. They do that little thing where they just hover around the region with a couple of nukes, where they pretend like they're ready to pop off. Right? We know how they do. They do it with China all the time. They did it with Iran. That's what they do. They did it with Yemen. Right? Okay. So then Maduro responds with calling up millions of his militia. That's not even including his actual Venezuelan full-time military. Okay. So then we respond with what? How does the U.S. respond? With more talk and more circling the region, more accusations, but no smoke. Only to eventually pull out. They hover there for 2-3 years. The elections get held. Trump obviously isn't going to win because he can't run again. It's going to be a different Department of State. They pull out, and everybody realizes you were just all talking in. What happened with in Africa, everybody? With Niger, with Burkina Faso, and with Mali. They were like, we're gonna get eco-wise. We're gonna, France is gonna do this and NATO's gonna do that. Okay. We'll wait. We're right here. Come on. We're waiting. Do what you said you was gonna do. Actually, what we're gonna do, France, we up out of here. We can't even actually win. So France, we gone. ECOWAS, desist. NATO wants no part in it. With Iran, Trump tried to pretend like it was a huge victory in Iran, right? When they bombed those nuclear facilities, but then Iran was like, no, we'll actually be back up and running in a couple of months. And then Trump was like, we'll consider this done. We did our part. Yeah, America. No, y'all didn't. Y'all just sent a couple bombs, pretend like you won, and then turned the tail and ran. This is after the last time Trump was president, where Iran literally said, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna bomb here, 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 and here, and we dare you to respond. If you let us handle our business in response to this assassination that you just committed, we will let it ride. But if you try to respond again, then we will do what we gotta do. And Trump was like, yeah, okay, cool. So how many times do you think You can get away with doing all this talking, guys. And the rest of the world actually starts to take you seriously. Or like they just or keeps taking you seriously, rather. They're not going to take you seriously because we all know you're not about shit. You just doing your little naval thing, circling the block. Y'all couldn't even beat Yemen, bro. Y'all could not beat the Houthis. Why would Venezuela be concerned with a U.S. Navy that couldn't beat the Houthis? That had to deuce out on the Houthis. Come on, bro. Let's check out the Trump administration's comments, the official comments, rather, on the situation in Venezuela. One second. Well, there'd be a lot of distracting going on. That's what I'm saying. A lot of distracting. They want to do everything except for release the Epstein files. I'm trying to tell you, dog. Let's check out this clip.
On the ground there. What I will say with respect to Venezuela, President Trump has been very clear and consistent. He's prepared to use every element of American power to stop drugs from flooding into our country and to bring those responsible to justice. The Maduro regime is not the legitimate government of Venezuela. It is a narco-terror cartel.
Boy, don't you just love how they just be inventing new shit? They be inventing new words. It's not the legitimate government, except for they just won an election. But okay, he just won an election. Proved that he won it. Opposition party didn't even want it. He was like, yeah, once again, let's take it to court, bro. I'm here for it. Here we go. Here's our documents. Nicolas Maduro invites international observers, everybody. I don't know if y'all know that. Garland Nixon actually in one of the elections was an international observer. I have other friends who've been international observers. Like, he was the one who was like, yeah, let's do it, guys. Let's go ahead and take it to court. But then you're like, it's a narco-terrorist dictatorship. Narco-terrorist, bro. For real? So who sat in, like, who was all in the room when y'all had to sit there and come out, hey man, so what we gonna call it? Because dictatorship, it ain't flying anymore. Communist, that really don't got the kick it used to. In fact, if you call him a communist, actually more people might even like him now because communism is becoming quite popular. So like, what we gonna call him? Because everything else ain't working. Ooh, I know. Narco, terrorist, dictator. Let's just call him all the bad shit. And let's just see how that works. Let's see if people will get behind that. And we'll send Alex Jones to confirm it. Like, what? In what world can the United States call anybody a terrorist? If Nicolas Maduro was actually a terrorist dictator, ladies and gentlemen, then let's be clear. The U.S. would be supporting him. You wanna know how I know? Because there is a terrorist dictator in Syria right now that we helped put in power. And to reward him for his dictatorial methods of governing, we've removed sanctions from Syria. As he is actively killing ethnic and religious minorities, they just went through and popped people in a hospital, assaulted people in a hospital, killed hospital staff. There has been a civil war going on ever since this man's been elected. He will not announce when he's going to hold his next election. And so what does Trump do? Let's go ahead and let's remove the sanctions and reward him. If Maduro was actually a terrorist, the U.S. would support him. If he was actually a terrorist dictator, they would be like, yeah, man, we got to keep him in power. We'll send troops to make sure he stays in power.
Maduro, it is the view of this administration, is not a legitimate president. He is a fugitive head of this cartel who has been indicted in the United States for trafficking drugs into the country.
So, a fugitive head who's been indicted. Indicted by who? For what? What drugs? Y'all, this man Trump has had, I don't know what it is about Like, I mean, we know what it is. It's the oil. Like, I mean, I guess in the simplest of terms, it's the oil. We know it's the oil. They can call it communism. It ain't really the communism because, I mean, yeah, communism is communism, and you know, anti-communists and imperialist capitalists are always going to figure out a way to blame something on communism. But it ain't really the communism. It's the fact that the communism isn't letting the U.S. control the oil. And the reason that the U.S. is behaving so aggressively right now, ladies and gentlemen, is not necessarily because of the oil in and of itself, but because of the economy. Ladies and gentlemen, the economy is failing. I don't know if y'all realize this. Inflation is high as shit. I actually talked about this on my Twitter account, but matter of fact, let me see if I can go find that post for you guys because I feel like it's really important, and I don't really see a lot of. It's kind of in the weeds, so I don't want to get too deep into it. But the reactions that you're seeing from the government is, in my opinion, an attempt to prevent what we're about to see take place. And it's only taken place 2 times in history, and it's a problem. The last 2 times that happened, it was in 72 and 83, or 83, 73 and 82. And it was a problem. Like the not just for the US, but for the entire world, because how much of the world relies on USD. So here is a tweet. So, Americans, if you've never heard of stagflation, then you should get acquainted with it and start preparing. And the majority of people have not heard of stagflation. They're just more familiar with inflation or deflation. So stagflation happens when 3 economic factors occur simultaneously. High inflation, which we have. I actually remember seeing a video of a girl who put, Walmart it was a TikTok video. Walmart actually allowed you to save your history of things that you bought. Obviously, she put the exact same stuff in her cart from last year to this year, and the price is double just in the last year. So yeah, a little bit problematic. Stagnant economic growth, specifically referring to the GDP. And yeah, that's happening, unfortunately. And the GDP is a bad metric to measure the overall well-being of the country as it is anyway. But the fact that the GDP is low, and we already know the overall well-being of the country economically is pretty low. It's not a good sign. Okay, and high unemployment. Okay, so over the last 3 to 4 years, the U.S. has already hit 2 out of 3 of those markers: the high inflation and the basically the halting of the growth of the GDP. So Trump just fired the commissioner of labor statistics because he didn't like the jobs report. People forget that, but that just happened. Now, I'm not saying that the commissioner, I can't remember her name, but the commissioner of labor statistics, I'm not saying she was doing a great job. I'm not even saying she didn't deserve to be fired. I'm not saying any of that. But I am saying is that the statistics were worse. They had to correct them. And you know which direction those statistics got corrected in. Which direction do y'all believe it? It's worse than what they thought. It's worse than what they were reporting under Biden's administration and under Trump's administration. It's worse. So that is the third factor, ladies and gentlemen. The last 2 times this happened, in 73 and 82, the U.S. economy overall suffered in ways that resemble the Great Depression, except prices increased substantially while wages dipped across the board. When I say wages dipped, I mean inflation was crazy, prices went up, but wages basically did nothing. They stayed the same. So what does that actually mean? And so as a result, the economy comes to a screeching halt. That's worse than inflation or deflation. Do you understand why? Because what happens is, and so when it comes to inflation or even a depression, what do we usually see happen? We see some people take advantage, for example, of a bad economy, and at the very top, they're able to manipulate it and profit while things are cheap or while other people cannot afford to buy land, goods, services, companies, et cetera, stocks. Okay. The problem with stagflation is that everybody's broke, right? So if everybody's broke, I can't buy anything. Okay. But if I'm a business owner, small or large, I need people to work. The problem is nobody's buying anything. So I can't hire people to work. So if I can't hire people to work, if people cannot be hired, even though they want a job, they're still broke. So if I'm broke, I can't buy anything. And if I can't buy anything, I can't pay that business. And if that business is not getting money, I can't buy. Do you see the cycle here? What's going on, Nick? What's going on, my good brother? My hotspot brother in the chat. But do y'all see the problem here? Do you see the cycle? This happened in 72 and 83, and it lasted for years. So now you understand why they're like, there's this massive push again. Yeah, they want to overthrow, they've always wanted to overthrow Maduro. That's not new. But the aggression that we are seeing come out of this administration, because it's not just against Maduro, it's just that he's the face right now. They even tried to push this idea that Tren de Aragua, the gang, was like this communist group. Remember that whole thing when they ran through Miami, picked up a bunch of right-wing Venezuelans, claimed that they were in the gang, and then sent them to where? To El Salvador. And claimed that Tren de Aragua was part of his like Maduro communist plan to try. When in actuality, they hate each other. So there was that. Now there's a situation where Trump has ramped up troop presence on the border of Mexico to the tune of about 9,000, where several thousand of those troops are active duty, damn near threatening to invade Mexico, claiming that it's also because of cartels. Come on, bro. Then they're talking about upping troop presence in Panama, claiming that it's because of China and the canal. And nah, bro, we're going broke. That's what this is all about. We need that oil money. We need it. Like the United States is what I mean. We need control, not just of the money, but the region. Russia is going to get what they want, but at the end of the day, China is going to keep being China. China is what you going to do? You can't stop their economy at this point. Hell, the United States is in debt to China. Y'all ain't going to do shit in Taiwan. That's China's. So let's go ahead and get that out the way too. Okay. China is making all these deals with Africa. Russia is engaging in economic cooperation with Africa. That Iran plan y'all thought was going to go into action didn't actually work out the way you thought it was going to. So what we going to do? It's cool o'clock. Cool o'clock. Got to try Venezuela again. I don't know what else to do. We couldn't get Iran. Like, we don't really know how to situation. Obviously, Russia going to get whatever they want because Ukraine has a bunch of rare minerals. And like just overall resources. We don't really know how the situation with Palestine is going to turn out, with Gaza is going to turn out. We know that they want the natural gas. We don't know if that's actually what's going to end up happening, though. I don't know. But what does that mean for the U.S.? Basically nothing. Because if Israel gets that natural gas and other resources in Palestine, you think that they're going to use it to the benefit of the U.S. or to Israel? They're going to use it to Israel's benefit. So that really ain't got nothing to do with us. We're just funding because the U.S. is stupid. We're funding Israel's effort to better themselves at the sacrifice of the U.S.'s soul and money. Because, like I said, at the end of the day, my theory is that in order for the greater Israel to exist, the United States has to fail to exist in its current form. It cannot be both of those countries cannot be the most powerful countries in the world. RIP. But we're going on the road. We are off the rails on a crazy train right now, y'all. And all this shit that we seeing is like major distractions from the Epstein client list to the economy, everything that they should be talking about and worrying about, to all the promises that are being broken. So they just lather, rinse, repeat. But it ain't gonna go down like that, y'all. I'm just telling. Hey, look, don't join the military. They setting y'all up. Yeah, let's check out this clip from Netanyahu making a whole ass of himself, asking for more censorship. Because, you know, it's not like they haven't already literally censored on behalf of Israel forever. Let alone since October 7th.
You know, it's very hard to fight the, you know, the deception, the lies, the starved children, the pictures of starved children who turn out to have cerebral palsy or other congenital diseases that leave them emaciated. And Israel is, of course, accused of starving children, pretty much the way that in the Middle Ages, Jews were accused of killing Christian children for their blood. So, you know, what do you do against the lie that circles the earth?
Yeah, those two are definitely the same things, right? Like those two are the same things. Something about the Middle Ages and Jews being accused of killing children for their blood and starving kids in real life, like we haven't seen it happen. Those are definitely the same things, BiBi. What the boy? Oh, Jesus.
10 times before the truth has a chance to emerge, you have to shorten the earth 10 times before pretty much the way that in the Middle Ages, Jews were accused of killing Christian children for their blood. So, you know, what do you do against the lie that circles the earth 10 times before the truth has a chance to emerge? You have to shorten the war as speedily as possible. And frankly, we also have to do something about the algorithms and the social networks. This is a big challenge. I don't want to dismiss it. You know,
You hear what he said? He said, we got to change the algorithms of the social media networks. This is a big challenge. You want to change the algorithms even more, my guy? People get demonetized. People get demonetized for mentioning Israel. They get throttled for mentioning Israel. Elon Musk went on a tour to your country. He came back and made announcements about how he was going to censor on behalf of Israel. Hold up. Let me show y'all something. Because this is wild that he had the audacity to say this. This is from 4 months ago. Zoom in for y'all. Meta deletes 90,000 pro-Palestinian posts after Israeli requests. Meta's under fire after whistleblower leaks revealed that the company removed over 90,000 pro-Palestinian posts following takedown requests from the Israeli government. From that guy. Okay. Sparking global outrage over what's being called one of the largest online censorship operations ever recorded. People, 94% of Israeli content takedown requests were complied with by the tech giant. 94%. My guy. What? It's already bad enough, ladies and gentlemen, like that you're lying about the starvation. How are you gonna be like, yeah, man, They're posting all these kids that are clearly malnourished, posting these videos of people who are clearly starving. Like, you lied about that. Or, well, I guess, which is weird. Like, you're saying they're not being starved, and you're like acknowledging the pictures in the videos, and you're just like, yeah, I know it looks like they're being starved, but that's actually not the case. It just looks that way. It just looks like, I know this kid is literally skin and bones, and the pictures before October 7th and the pictures after October 7th of that individual look completely different. And I know we literally bragged about stopping aid trucks from coming in, but it just looks like they're being starved, everybody. It's already bad enough that you're going to lie about something you're admitting to, basically. But then for you to be like, we got to do something about the algorithms. Motherfucker, what more can you do? You understand those 90,000 posts? By the way, it's closer to like 115, 120,000 at this point. This is since October 7th, and that's only on Meta. That's since October 7th and only on Meta. And once again, like I said, everybody knows about Elon's trip to Israel only to come back and tell us that he's going to start blocking people and suspending accounts for posting something as innocuous as From River to the Sea. Even though that's literally in the Likud party's tenets. Like that is literally from the Likud party. They said they want Israel to conquer from the river to the sea. It's in their manifest, basically. And that's why Palestinians say from the river to the sea, Palestine's going to be free, because it is in contest to that. They're already doing what you want, my guy. Social media companies have already, y'all do understand, right? Israel has been requesting Meta, and before it was Meta, Facebook, to take off. They controlled basically what Palestinians got to say on Facebook since before October 7th. My guy, what more do you want? But you know what's crazy about this? Do you know who was the person putting in these requests? Let me show y'all something that I came across from the homie Kim Iverson, because you, once again, whether it comes to censorship or genocide or whatever, murder, literally anything, you can't throw a pebble in Israel blindfolded without hitting a pedophile, even if they happen to work for the Israeli government itself. And it turns out that somebody working on behalf of the Israeli government was responsible for putting in those requests to censor. And when I tell you, my jaw kind of dropped, because it made me realize just how powerful this individual is, and helped me put a little two and two together for the last week. Bro, listen to this.
Tom Alexandrovich, he is the executive director of Israel's National Cyber Directorate. He was arrested after a sting bust in Las Vegas. He was meeting up with who he thought was a minor, and he's allowed to board a plane and to go back to Israel, where he will not face charges. And here's another thing. He's extremely connected to Netanyahu. In fact, his department works in Netanyahu's office. He was acting head of data and AI for the directorate, which means he oversaw AI-driven cyber ops, including disinformation, social media monitoring, and content control. And it actually turns out, Grok has admitted that this guy was actually the reason he was censored, that this is the guy that tells social media what they need to be taking off the internet.
Tom Alexandrovich is with the National Cyber Unit. He is the head of the Technological Defense Department.
The state prosecution received almost 30. I think it handled 26,000 and received about 40,000 inquiries starting from the 7th of October regarding inciting content, about content that leads to demoralization, about some malicious content. This is huge data. 90% of this data is all under the Meta group, which includes Instagram, Facebook, and so on. There are organized campaigns on this issue. We saw a lot of posts. A lot of posts that the prosecution removed. Several hundred posts of content associated with
It is an initiative that came from Iran.
it is not only about such enemies. We are also talking about activists or other anti-Israeli activities that are organizing against Israel.
Ladies and gentlemen, yes, the very same Tom Alexandrovich who was allowed to flee the United States. I don't know how you want to call it. I can only call it fleeing the US because he has a court date. And once again, I would bet any amount of money he ain't about to show up. He's not coming back. He is not showing up for that court date. The Trump administration helped him, assisted him in fleeing. The U.S. attorney, Siegel Shada, bumped the case down to the district attorney's office so that a district judge could make the decision to set a low bail and allow him to flee. This man is so influential regarding censorship on social media that it was actually him that got Grok blocked and suspended on its own platform. Oh yeah, and he met with the FBI and NSA before he left. I forgot about that part, pretty important. Oh, and the fact that he works directly for Netanyahu. I mean, literally, Netanyahu picks the guy. He picked him to be in that position. Okay. He is so influential that he got Grok suspended and AI suspended off its own platform. Do y'all understand how crazy, like that there are some serious implications that come with that? Because if you are influential enough, because he's the one who puts in the inquiries, he's the ones who put in those requests, he's the one who got Grok suspended. If you are that influential, is there any wonder why this story regarding Tom Alexandrovich is being censored to the degree that it is? Think about that. This is the guy responsible for censoring all these pro-Palestinian posts, all these anti-Israel, anti-Zionist posts, getting anti-Israel, anti-Zionist organizations taken down from social media. So imagine the power he has, the power that he wields to censor the story about himself, which is probably why Israel was so confident. That's probably why Israel was so confident that he wouldn't get, like whenever they came out with that lie initially, that he wasn't arrested, he was only detained, that he left on his own free will, that there was nothing else to be, there was no follow-up, there was no court date, none of that. That's probably why he was so confident. Because he's like, yeah, I'm the one who actually tells social media what's allowed and what's not allowed to be posted. So yeah. But like, basically no mainstream media has delved into this to the degree that they should have. Right? When this gets discussed, it gets censored. Even though it gets, I mean, I've seen videos where it gets retweeted a lot, the topic gets retweeted a lot, and it still is getting censored. Like if you've done this, you know analytics and understand how that stuff usually works, you can see like what normally a video would get as far as impressions and views when you compare it to the amount of retweets and likes. And it's like the numbers aren't adding up for anybody. And we've also seen, or rather we haven't seen, the mainstream media talk about this at all. I've seen brief mentions of it, and they don't even have y'all noticed a pattern that if you actually look the topic up, they don't even mention Tom's name in the majority of those articles. They do not say Tom Alexandrovich. They do not mention the fact that he works directly for Netanyahu, that he was handpicked by Netanyahu. Think about it. So it's just weird to me that Netanyahu would come out and be like, yeah, man, like we need more censorship. Like, nah, bro, like you had a guy who could literally get anything he wanted censored. Get anything he wanted taken down. He said he wanted to change the algorithms. Bro, the algorithms are already favored. They already favor y'all. It's just that, sometimes it's overwhelming. You got overwhelming support for the Palestinian people. You can't censor the world. There are things that happen in Palestine or Gaza where there are millions of people talking about it, or hundreds of thousands of people talking about it on social media, and it still won't reach the trending topics. But what are you going to do when there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people talking about a topic? It doesn't have to trend for it to be trending. But let's talk about the fact that your pedo guy, is so influential. Like, bro, we can't that. So when we talk about the fact that no matter how bad it gets in Israel, we really don't ever get the full story because of this guy. And this guy, a pedo, who is not going to receive any consequence from either the US or the Israeli government, a pedo, is the one responsible for demanding that social media censored the genocide Israel's committing in Palestine. Are you kidding me, bro? Dog. It is like, that is unbelievable to me. Because it's already, we know that social media censors on behalf of we know that social media censors on behalf of Israel, but it's absolutely insane to me that the guy responsible is the one who the US government just helped flee the country because he's a pedo. And he's a pedo. We have a pedo responsible for censoring the plight of Palestinians. And that pedo is censoring under the guise that he's one of the good guys. If you talk about it enough, it'll drive you crazy. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, when I be thinking about this stuff, and it's like, you gonna pretend like you're not stark, bro. Y'all know I was in Egypt. I was in Egypt helping to package and deliver aid to send to Gaza. I'm not speaking from secondhand or third-hand experience. I was there, ladies and gentlemen. They would not let our trucks through. Everybody remembers it. Everybody's seen the videos. I don't have to tell y'all what y'all see. But in case anybody is curious, if the claims of the starvation are credulous or incredulous, yes, they're credible. I was there. Bro, we went through hell. They would not let our trucks through. Not from just the organization I was working with, but every organization was having this problem. Y'all seen the videos of them attacking the trucks. Like, bro, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I was there. I witnessed it, guys, firsthand. They were on the phone, like, bro, what's going on? When is the truck gonna get through? When's this other truck coming back? Like, how y'all still not gotten through with the other aid that was sent? Like, bro, I was there. I witnessed it. Why we were supposed to go to the border, but we weren't allowed to because of safety issues, because they were worried that Israel was going to do some crazy shit. Rightfully so. Bro, and look at this. This is from August 18th from Amnesty International regarding the starvation of the Palestinian people. Look at this. New testimonies provide compelling evidence that Israel's starvation of Palestinians in Gaza is a deliberate policy. I don't know what more proof you need, but hey, whatever, cool. We'll read it. Israel is carrying on a deliberate campaign of starvation in the occupied Gaza Strip, systematically destroying the health, well-being, and social fabric of Palestinian life. Amnesty International said today as it published chilling new testimonies of starved, displaced civilians. Their accounts underscore the organization's repeated findings that the deadly combination of hunger and disease is not an unfortunate byproduct of Israel's military operations. It is the intended outcome of plans and policies that Israel has designed and implemented over the past 22 months to deliberately inflict on Palestinians in Gaza conditions of life calculated to bring about their physical destruction, which is part and parcel of Israel's ongoing genocide against Palestinians in Gaza. As Israeli authorities escalate their attacks on Gaza City and threaten to launch a full-scale ground invasion, the testimonies we have collected are far more than accounts of suffering. They are a searing indictment of an international system that has granted Israel a license to torment Palestinians with near total impunity for decades, said Erica Guevara Rojas, a senior director for research, advocacy, policy, and campaigns at Amnesty International. Listen to this. I feel like I failed as a mother. The impact on pregnant women and breastfeeding mothers, the combined impact of Israel's policies of mass starvation, multiple forced displacements, and restrictions on access to life-saving aid has been particularly devastating for pregnant and breastfeeding women. Of the 747 pregnant and breastfeeding women that saved the children's screen in this clinic during the first half of July, 323, 43%, were malnourished. Pregnant and breastfeeding women interviewed by Amnesty International spoke about the extreme scarcity of items indispensable to their survival, the agonizing reality of being pregnant or a new mother while living in a tent in the extreme summer heat, and the desperate and daily struggle to secure food, baby formula, and clean water. Bruh, this is day-to-day life, bro. This is a couple of accounts, bro. That, you know how long our like 10 minute, 15-minute read of suffering and suffering and suffering. And we just supposed to believe every single person who's witnessed this is lying. Even the videos and photos that you talked about. And I'm supposed to believe that the pedo that you have working for your government that is responsible for taking this stuff down so that we don't see what's happening in Gaza, so that the suffering is not witnessed, I'm supposed to believe that he's a good guy and that y'all who have hired the pedo are the good guys and y'all the victims. What we talking about, yo? What we talking about? I'm supposed to believe Maduro's the bad guy because he told Israelis to rise up against Netanyahu's murderous regime. I'm supposed to believe he the bad guy. See, he's a good guy to me. That don't sound like it sounds like somebody with common sense and empathy. Maybe the ones financing him are the terrorist dictators, the narco-terrorist dictators, as she wanted to put it. And I don't hear nothing about, oh man, Maduro's regime, I just be out here hiring pedos. Maduro's Venezuela out here providing havens for pedos, providing sanctuary for pedos, helping pedos leave the country, despite the fact they have a court date in a week. I don't hear none of that. That's crazy. But I'm supposed to believe he's a narco-terror dictator. Like I said, if he was actually a narco-terrorist dictator, the U.S. would be working with him. They would be funding him, financing him. If he was a pedo, shit, they'd make sure he stayed in power. You know what I'm saying? They would protect him. If he protected pedos, terrorists, narcos, and all that good stuff, they would protect him. Case in point, BiBi Netanyahu. Second case in point, Alexandrovich. Whoo, boy, I guess, they be pissing me off, dog. They be pissing me off. Let's switch gears real quick. Lamar Jackson comes under fire. I know Lamar Jackson. That's my guy. That's my quarterback. And he came under fire because he retweeted Charlie Kirk. So, star NFL quarterback sparks liberal meltdown after resharing posts from controversial right winger. Baltimore Ravens quarterback. One second. Baltimore Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson ignited some anger on the left by reposting a pro-Christian message from conservative provocateur. It's all about Jesus, read the post on X from Charlie Kirk, the Turning Point USA co-founder. In itself, the post isn't altogether different from what Jackson typically puts on social media. Devout Christian, Jackson's page is dominated by Bible verses, baptisms, and some occasional football content. But Kirk has faced accusations of racism for his attacks on diversity initiatives and the idea of white privilege, making Jackson's reposts a bit more divisive than his others. Now, here's the deal. Lamar Jackson plays football. Lamar Jackson almost never posts about politics. I'm going to be honest with you. I guarantee Lamar Jackson had no idea who Charlie Kirk was. It was literally a Sunday. Lamar Jackson is a devout Christian. He reposted something and that was viral and it didn't think twice about it. I don't believe there's been a huge reaction to him reposting it. If Lamar Jackson ever sees this, because he's watched my stuff before. The problem is, like, in this particular case, I'm explaining why people were so upset. It's because Charlie Kirk saying it's all about Jesus is like, you know, maybe fucking Donald Trump advocating for a healthy diet while eating McDonald's with Robert F. Kennedy on his private plane. Like, ain't nothing Christian about Charlie Kirk. He might use Christianity as a political ploy to gain more following out of that Christian neocon Zionist conservative base, but there's nothing Christian about Charlie Kirk. I know the work that Lamar Jackson does. He truly behaves Christ-like, like what the actual what Christianity means in the strictest sense. That is not called Charlie Kirk, and that's why people are so pissed. I'm just keeping it in a band. I'm not mad at Lamar Jackson because I know Lamar Jackson plays football, goes to church, and minds his business. He's not really into politics. I understand that. But I'm explaining, ain't nothing Christian about Charlie Kirk. This man openly advocates for a genocide and he is racist. Ain't no like he battling racist accusations. No, the motherfucker is racist. That's why Candace Owens left. No, excuse me. I apologize. That's why Candace Owens got hired, because he had to beat the racist accusations after he got exposed in a text message. And that's just about black people. Lord knows. I mean, we all know what he said about Arabs, and that's just anybody that's darker than him, basically. And Charlie Kirk, goes on Fox News and plays a victim right after. Like, oh, well, if you're a Christian, Lamar, I don't got nothing against you. I think he's a fabulous quarterback. Like, I'll be real with you. If you ask Charlie Kirk that question, whenever Lamar Jackson was trying to get that contract, I guarantee he wouldn't be. We know how they were talking about Lamar Jackson when it was time for him to get his money. We know. If you watch football, if you follow it, you know. But the problem with boosting Charlie Kirk is you are legitimizing, like, as a person of your faith, you are legitimizing someone who is using your faith as a political tool to enable fascism. Y'all don't believe in the same things. Y'all don't believe in the same. I know y'all might both call yourselves Christians, but what he is and what you are not the same thing. And that's why people are pissed. But yo, take it easy on my guy. I know there's a lot of people got really, really, really upset about him. Like, if you go down his timeline, bro, let me see if I can. His timeline, Lamar Jackson's timeline, is like literally just a bunch of Christian stuff in football. And it's usually like that during the during the off season. He posts a lot of stuff about Christianity. And during the season itself, he actually just posts mostly about football, if he posts at all, or usually about MVP stuff. Look, Proverbs. Oh, let me pull it up for y'all. Y'all can see it. Y'all got it. Look, God is good. God is good. Amen. Gen Z fall in love with Jesus. Like, that's the way he is. He always talks about that, even in his interviews. So he just is reposting a bunch of random stuff about Jesus and Christianity. That's just who he is. So, like, relax. Come on, remember, we're all limited by our experiences, guys. Give my man some grace, okay? Like, he don't know who Charlie Kirk is, but I do. So that's why I'm telling you, don't be retweeting that dude, bro. I'm not even saying that you need to apologize for it, because you can't know what you didn't know. I get you, I understand, but just don't do that. Don't do that again, bro. And maybe if you are gonna repost somebody, I understand. I understand that not every repost is an endorsement, but at the same time, if you are gonna repost somebody that popular, tweet that viral, you should do just a little research about what they're about. Because unfortunately, Lamar, you're going to have double standards. There's going to be double standards that you have to deal with, and you've dealt with your entire career. You already know that. They're going to ask you to be more responsible about the message that you might be conveying or insinuating than they will other people, because you're Lamar Jackson. That is just what it is. Like, it comes with the territory that you've already been dealing with. So, do I believe that the attacks against him are legitimate? No. 98% of the attacks against Lamar Jackson throughout his entire career, social, football, whatever, haven't been legitimate. It's a double standard. But at the same time, no, I actually believe in Jesus. I'm not religious, but I believe in Jesus, and I believe in the teachings of Jesus, because that's just how I feel. I would not retweet Charlie Kirk. I don't give a shit if he puts, God is good or Jesus, whatever, bro. You don't believe that. You don't walk in that same light. We don't believe in the same Jesus. My Jesus wouldn't support genociding his people. My Jesus don't believe in genocide. My Jesus was anti-imperialist, according to the Bible. Okay, so yeah. Really quick, y'all, the last thing I want to talk about is, did y'all see these comments from Cash Patel? Operation Restore Justice. Bruh. I just had to cover it just really quick because it's so hypocritical.
Our children. If you harm our children, you will be given no sanctuary. There is no place we will not come to hunt you down. There is no place we will not look for you. And there is no cage we will not put you in should you do harm to our children. The prioritization of this administration and General Bondi has made it abundantly clear to child predators, you will be hunted down and you will be prosecuted. And that is a refreshing thing to hear for the men and women who do this work tirelessly. And it's also an acknowledgement of the safety that we look forward to bringing America.
Yeah, I know he didn't just say that shit with a serious face. So he's referring to Operation Restore Justice. He's talking about what they said they got 200. They've arrested over 200 individuals in child sex operations across 55 FBI field offices, rescuing 115 children and declaring, if you harm children, you'll be given no sanctuary unless you're Israeli, apparently. Unless you're Tom Alexandrovich, in which case the U.S. government will actively help to secure your sanctuary. You will be assisted in leaving the nation. Boy, look, him and Pam Bondi don't even look like they believe that shit. Like, yeah, man. But we believe in holding people accountable. So what about all those people on that client list that y'all was supposed to release? So, what about all those people that we are supposed to hold accountable? Y'all gonna hold them accountable? Yeah, so anyway, we're gonna hold all these people accountable. There's no way you can run. So what about those people on that list that y'all said y'all were gonna release? Remember that list? Y'all remember? Big old deal that you ran on, yeah, man, if I was in charge, I'm gonna release that list so we can hold people accountable. No sanctuary. Bro, y'all want to talk about when I tell you they want to talk about any and everything except for that Epstein list, there have been so many moving parts over the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, even, I guess, really the last month entirely. Ever since they made that announcement that they're not going to release the Epstein list, boy, they done up the bounty on Maduro. They upped the bounty on Maduro. They got beef with Mexico, more beef than usual. Talking about they all of a sudden want to pretend to engage in peace talks with Russia and Ukraine when, like, literally, bro, he's like, yeah, we're going to have to do this big old peace summit. And then a week later, be like, yeah, man, so I've decided, I think I'm just going to step back and let them handle it. What the fuck was all that for then? Every and anything except for that list. Even as they're actively conducting operations to catch child predators, they're like, yeah, we still ain't gonna talk about that list though. Anything but that. What you mean anything but that? That's the one thing I said y'all was gonna do. Yeah, but can't help you there, bro. Can't help you there. Kash Patel especially. Like this, it's just like these two individuals standing beside each other in that particular instance, saying all that about child predators. Pam Bondi was the one in charge in Florida. She was the attorney general that was in charge whenever Epstein got that sweetheart deal. Kash Patel, that boy damn near got famous because of his comments regarding the Epstein list. That's how people knew who he was. That's how he ended up in the position he's in. These two individuals, it is a mockery of justice that they're the ones trying to deliver this message standing beside each other when y'all both looking at each other like, man, y'all, we full of shit, but we already here, so I guess we just got to keep rolling with it. Americans will get universal health care before they release those Epstein files. Yo. It's so true. It's funny and it's sad, but it's true. Y'all really will get health care before y'all release those Epstein files. Before y'all get the Epstein files. Bro, I mean, quite literally, Ghislaine Maxwell will likely get pardoned before y'all get those Epstein files. And I wish I could say that's a joke, but we all know it ain't. So there's that. Dog. And it's just like the sheer audacity of it all, I guess, is like what be crazy. I had to show. I'm like, this is just audacious as shit for him. It's insulting to Americans. It's insulting to anyone who's been a victim. It's insulting to the parents of those victims. It's insulting to those who were affected by Epstein's clients for you to look in that camera and sit there and fucking lie. Like, yeah, there's nowhere that you can find sanctuary. What you mean? Y'all literally the ones giving them the damn sanctuary. It's y'all. Me, I'm the problem, it's me. Yeah, that's you. Y'all Taylor Swift. That it's y'all. What about, bro, I've said about any opioid epidemic, drug war, cartels, I don't give a damn which country. If the problem persists, despite the fact that everyone is aware that the problem is happening, it's because the government is actively participating in making sure that it exists. It's quick maths. It's been proven time and time again. Opioid crisis, all of it, y'all. And they'll sit there and gaslight you. We got 200 people. And to be completely honest, in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, 200, that's all y'all got? Really? Because like human trafficking is at an all-time high and y'all got 200 people? Y'all working with 55 FBI agencies across the country. I mean, which means y'all working with more attorneys, more U.S. attorneys, more attorney generals, more police departments than that. Y'all have all these resources at your disposal. And y'all only got, and this really started in May. Y'all got 200 people. That's my thought process. Honestly, I'm like, really, that's it? That's all y'all got? y'all needed to conduct a multi-government, multi-state operation to get 200 people. Right? Is that like not strange to y'all? I guess 199 since y'all let one of the motherfuckers go back to Israel. But like y'all did all that to get only 200 people. I feel like police departments individually should be able to get one a day in major cities without the help of the FBI, without the help of the Department of Justice, if they're doing their jobs or if they're allowed to do their jobs. So hey, y'all dedicated all those resources to get 200 people only? That's not a successful operation, in my opinion. Y'all underperformed. It looks like y'all were just looking for an excuse to say, hey, man, look, we're not pedo protectors. We don't protect pedophiles over here. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Shit, they found 200, but like, let's be real. Given that we already seen that they released one, and the only reason we found about him is because of who he was, Alexandrovich. Or we found about him because of who he was, who he worked for, and where he's from. They even were not going to, they were trying not to tell us that. The mainstream media is still trying not to say his name. So for the 200 that they caught, how many of those were powerful players in powerful positions that we probably don't even know about, that they don't even like maybe 50 to 100 more individuals that they probably just like, yeah, we can't really cut that off. Can't let them actually know that. How many people are they protecting? For the 200 that they caught, how many did they protect? Aren't you curious? Because I am. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream episode of For the People Podcast. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you share this video. Help us hit 1 million subscribers, y'all. Subscribe. Hit that. If you're on X right now, go to the YouTube link. Hit the subscription button. It's right there. It's so close. Turn the notification bell so you can get the notification when we post stuff, go live, especially when we post those hotspot videos. We cram a lot of information into 3-4 minute videos. Make sure y'all follow me on Twitter at Real Niko House, at Hotspot as well, at Hotspot on Instagram at Real Niko House. Y'all can once again support the show by becoming a premium member or joining our Patreon, supporting us there. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, also subscribe to our Telegram channel for breaking news updates and content updates as well. Other than that, always remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.